Alright, so I'm mostly doing this so that I can prove that I can, because I haven't really drawn in a while. At least not seriously. A lot of it is just like small little pieces of like puppets or whatever, and I already had a speed draw for Fran already recorded, but that was from like 2 years ago? It was from a while ago before I decided she was way taller and not looking like that. For comparison, this drawing took about three, three, 3.5 hours, where the previous one took less than one. So fun. Anyways, ready for the globe? Here it is. So off screen right here, I'm actually on DeviantArt on Gooseworks' page because I'm trying to find like the one pose that she keeps drawing. She keeps drawing this one pose where they're like, I found the word for it. It's knock-kneed, where it's like the knees are pointing towards each other and the legs are like away. You can see it on the previous Fran image. I'm trying to find like proper art of that to reference. And there we are. I have an automatic nudity sensor on my browser, and it detected a bit of that art as that. So that's funny to see that blur on there for like a split second.
Did you see it?
So I'm drawing a basic skeleton outline right now. This will make it a lot easier for me to figure out how I'm gonna draw, just in general. You know, being the first time I'm doing this in some while. I attempt a pelvis. I am not good at drawing bones. Wouldn't you guess that? I already know that I want her to be more visually hunched than she is. I didn't do a very good job at that last time, so ribs, there we go. I'm also not good at drawing ribs. I will later redo that. I'm now getting ready to draw the breasts, which I'm not very good at because I'm not very good at anatomy. But I remember someplace told me that an upside down heart was a good way to do it, and it worked pretty well. I do fidget with it quite a lot, and then eventually you're gonna see me just outright use it as the line art. I mean, I fix it up before using it, but you know, just good to know that basic shapes like that do work. I'm measuring up her arms to be about the same size as her legs, which I know it's not very accurate to your actual arms and legs. Your legs are a little bit longer than your arms, but I know that she's supposed to have very lanky arms, so making them match just sort of works. I'm actually, like, as I'm drawing this, I'm looking at my own body, and making sure that, like, all the proportions are right, so I tried seeing if my own head would fit in my rib cage and all that. I picked up the way I draw hands from a tweet. I don't remember it exactly. I haven't been on Twitter in a while, but I know that I sort of learned it while trying to draw Count Black. Cool Ed Factses. Yes, I do have a catalog of my own shoes. I also have catalogs of other things. I'm gonna poorly upscale it and then draw over it so it looks good and not blurry. You have to fix it up. Here we can see me hyper-focusing on the shoes so I don't have to actually, like, draw the rest of the body because I'm, like, terrified of doing that. I do a little bit of this mesh bending, transforming, that's the word. I had to cut a good 3 minutes of that. I spent a lot of time focusing on that shoe. Anyways, I begin working on the hair first. I probably should have started mask first. I should have started body first, says anyone who's better than art than me. But I always start head first and adjust from there. I attempt to redo at the hair, or at least the middle segment of it, but then I just go back to how I would usually draw it. But you're not gonna see that until like a bit later. Here begins the mask problem. The mask problem is that it's very difficult to draw a symmetrical head. Symmetrical anything that's round. And so I tinker and toy with this. I even tried doing the circle method over here that I used to do, where it's just circle and then straight lines down. For some reason it looks off. It looks round at the bottom when it shouldn't be. I know it's a circle, but like it looks like it's going out a bit. Like you could see cheeks that aren't supposed to be there. I even researched previous drawings I made of the mask. I try to figure out how I made it then, because I completely forgot. Eventually I just duplicate like a J shape and flip it over and then merge the two. Eyes are one of the most important things that you can draw on a character. I make sure to make the eyes very distinct from each other. You can see the shape of these eyes are the Keeper eyes from the Binding of Isaac. I don't know if that's the exact shape. I have probably lost it through time. It's different than the actual Keeper now, but that's what I call them. I duplicate the mask here in case I need to redo it, because I'm erasing the rest of it. Teeth time. Some people would say that I have a weird thing with teeth, but teeth are the window to the teeth. You know, you got the eyes, which are the windows to the soul, and you got the teeth, which are teeth. They're cool. I work very hard to make sure that the teeth actually form sort of a grin instead of just like a flat line. It's very hard to do that with the space that I have, but I get something that's okay-ish. I think I could have done better, but next time. Pupils. Pupils are cool. I've given her the delirium pupils here. I freehanded it, but I'm eventually gonna go over it with a much cleaner version of it. And then at the very end, I'll even separate the pupils as their own separate layer. But for now, that's how they are gonna be. And look at that, an hour and 39 minutes in just 10. Or less than 10, actually. I really hated making the chest. I toiled and suffered. But I got it to look good. I really do need individual classes for anatomy and all that, and I hope to be by the end of the year at least. Uh, there's this whole part where I'm trying to do the ribs. It's really embarrassing. Uh, you'll see it. The problem with the first attempt is that I made the ribs way too uniform, and that's just not how ribs are. It just looks more like a loaded spring than anything. And then there's the second attempt where I draw the ribs as I drew them, and they're like way too exaggerated form, which again, that's not how ribs really look. And it might have been fine the way it was, but it took me a really long time to realize like how unbelievably wide they were. I didn't really notice it until I zoomed out, and it looked like apple fritters were her body, and that was gross. So I cut out this entire part where I'm just going on like Google, searching up ribs anatomy, and I find out how it's actually drawn, or it should be drawn. And you can see me right now, and just doing like the general shape of it, lopsided somehow. I forget to have it mirrored. So basically, from what's visible under the breast, there's like 3 ribs. There's 2 that are very close together, and then there's one that's like moderately distant from the others. I just copy paste the same rib like 6 times, slap it on there, and yeah, those are ribs. If the character had exposed ribs, that would have just been it. But you know, that's not how it is. Not to say that she wouldn't expose her ribs as a way to taunt someone, though. I spent an embarrassing amount of time going on Google and searching up starving person body. Uh, it turns out no, their lower chest does not go in very far. Uh, so that was a lot of time wasted. This is the part where I fixed the part where she is not very hunched over at all. And so I pose her appropriately. I spontaneously decide that her head should be tilted still. This is the part where I undo the hair thing like I mentioned earlier. Easiest part ever. Half of the drawing is just these 3 lines. I gotta say, the worst part of having such a simple art style is that you can notice every line that's incorrect, which is why I always spend a lot of time looking at each corner very intensely. The eyes start to bug me, so I go back and fix them, making them cleaner. And it's gonna bug me all the way up until the end of the drawing. Mostly just because the weird tilting makes it look like she's all dopey. Or at least the eyes. I spent such an unreasonable amount of time drawing 4 straight lines. I I don't know. I think it's just since they're so long, you can't really keep up a line like that. Or at least I can't. Uh, Even when I've copy pasted the line and tried fixing it, it's hard to make it feel right. At first, they're too thin, like you can see it right there. I look at the original drawing for a bit. It's like, wait a minute, how is she supposed to kill with that? Again, with the whole clean art style, noticeable imperfections, I have to make sure that you don't see the line thickness changing. I know I could use just a consistent line pressure, but that also doesn't look very good too without the tapering. I'm over here posing my hands like a little T-Rex, trying to figure out which of the fingers would actually be visible right now. And then luckily I don't have to draw the little finger lines for her knuckles, because most of that area is going to be very dark and you won't even see those lines. I completely forget to draw the hair and immediately get to preparing the color. I get through the entire process of coloring before I register the fact that the hair is not there. But we are coming up to the end of my second session. That's another hour we've just burned through. I love this crayon brush so much. I forget where I downloaded it from, but it makes stains look so good. Would recommend. I think I got it off of DeviantArt. You can see the exact moment where I register that the hair does not exist, and then I close the window. Getting to the third and final hour. The only thing that's left is the hair, texturing, and then shading. I would say you have no idea how much this hurt my arm, but I think you could see by how rapidly I do this. I mean, I know it's sped up, but you could tell that I'm doing it really fast. You know how much this hurts. Unless you've never, like, used arms before. Oops, I'm bigoted. I made a mistake the previous time I did Fran, her hair, and I drew it with like it was swirling around the middle, but that would imply that like the center point was the middle of that clump of hair instead of like, you know, the middle of her skull, you know? That took 3 minutes I just wrote down. Cool. Very glad that I could just duplicate it. I did not want to spend more time making the hair for the second part. I'm just about done with the hair. Now onto the most noticeable thing to mess up ever, the flat color crown. I messed it up instantly, and so I duplicated it, flipped it over, and merged the two, which is a easy way to undo a mistake like that, as long as it's one color. And then you got the emblem on there, just the basic crescent moon, facing the left. Yeah, that's very important. I put a little glow around the crown as well. I imagine it acts like Joel's crown in the one animation. I'll put a clip of it.
On the church.
Anyways, go support Zarel and go watch Monkey Wrench. I haven't watched episode 3 yet. I'm gonna do that though. Like, I know Zarel needs my massive audience's attention on him, you know? Like, all like, what, 10 billion viewers? Like, he needs those views. And after 3.5 hours, I have another piece of my big old portrait thing done. Next thing we'll do is probably, I don't even know, death? Leader.